It's time for more lockdown news, and today the news comes from Volkswagen, where they just pulled the covers off the 2021 Arteon. For 2021, Volkswagen has given the Arteon a refresh on the outside and on the inside, and some pretty significant changes under the skin. This allows Volkswagen to bring us their latest active safety technologies and their newest infotainment systems. That's probably the biggest change for this model year. But before we get into that, let's talk about the exterior design. The first thing you're going to notice is the new front end look. We get new grills. There's a different grill in the lower end trim, and the two R-line trims, the SEL and the SEL Premium R-line, get their own unique look. We of course have full LED headlamps, and we have an LED accent strip that runs the entire width of the front. This definitely differentiates it more from the Passat in the US. In the US, the Passat is targeted at the average Camry and Accord shopper, whereas the Arteon is targeted at perhaps the more traditional Buick or perhaps Lexus ES shopper, certainly something like an Acura TLX, although we are getting a new TLX for 2021. Volkswagen would also like you to consider the Arteon as an alternative to something like a rear-wheel drive sedan in this segment, perhaps a Dodge Charger, the Infiniti Q50, or definitely the Kia Stinger, because the Stinger is also a liftback. The best way to think about the Arteon and its direct competitive set is as an upgrade from the average mid-size sedan in America. Rather than being a full-size sedan, these are mid-size proportions with premium touches inside and outside. So we definitely get a lot more style on the outside and more features on the inside. The Arteon's profile hasn't changed for 2021 because a lot of the bones of the Arteon remain the same. This is still a liftback, so we get the liftback proportions. It looks like the Audi A5 or the Audi A7 rather than a more traditional sedan. So you definitely want to look at this if you want that style. And as you'd expect, as an upgrade over the Volkswagen Passat, we have more expressive wheels. All models are going to have very distinctive alloys. I really like the ones that we see on the red model that they showed us on the preview here. These look really great in motion as well. VW has updated the rear end design to make it look a little bit more aggressive, and we have these attractive chrome exhaust tips down at the bottom of the bumper. Now, upon closer inspection, it does appear that these are still fake exhausts like we see in a number of other Volkswagen and Audi products. Some people feel a little bit cheated by that. Let me know what you think down there in the comments section. The prime reason for doing this is that they stay cleaner. So if you actually had exhaust flowing through there, they would tend to dirty over time. These do stay cleaner, but I admit to feeling a little bit cheated about them. Moving to the inside, the changes are a bit more dramatic than on the outside. We see more premium materials, more stitching going on the dashboard. That's imitation leather, they tell us on the dashboard, not real leather, in case you're wondering. They're still trying to leave a gap between Volkswagen and Audi, they say. So instead of giving us all the same kind of feature content you'd expect to find in an Audi A5 or an A7, we're going to get somewhat less luxurious interior components than in the Audi models. But honestly, looking at these photos, I think that the Arteon really is going to be pushing the envelope, and this interior definitely looks more modern and nicer than what we see currently in the Audi A5. That means that the A5 is likely going to step up its game in its next redesign. In the center of the dash, we find a new infotainment system. They're saying this is the latest version of the Volkswagen software. It now supports wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And then below that screen, you'll notice that we get new touchscreen climate controls. This is replacing the knob and dial arrangement that we see currently in the Arteon. The shifter looks to be essentially the same, and some of the dashboard shapes are similar, but a lot of the touch components have been updated for 2021. Volkswagen's been pretty aggressive at bringing their LCD Disco Dash into a wide variety of models. Arteon is not accepted here, and this gets the newest version of their software. They're promising crisper and more intuitive graphics there. We also get the latest Volkswagen steering wheel, and then we get a lot of really interesting interior touches here. A lot of new ambient lighting designs, and the trim on the doors has a sort of translucent section to it that allows the multicolor ambient lighting to come through those sections, and it has sort of a patterned appearance to it that I find really interesting. I can't wait to see this in person because it does look really good. We're also getting new audio systems. We're not going to be getting the Fender audio system anymore in the Arteon. Instead, they've upgraded into a Harman Kardon audio system, so I do have some high hopes for that. According to their release, that's going to be a 700-watt 16-speaker sound system, so definitely in keeping with the more premium nature that we find in the Arteon, especially versus the Passat, the Camry, the Accord, that next segment down. The invisible change in this interior is that the steering wheel is now a capacitive touch steering wheel, so the car can tell when you're holding onto the wheel. This is enabling Volkswagen's latest suite of active safety technologies and their newest semi-autonomous driving system, which they are saying is going to be coming in the Arteon. Now, they have said that before, and the last Arteon that we tested didn't have those advanced safety technologies that we were promised when the Arteon was first launched in the US, but Volkswagen says that that software package will be ready for the 2021 Arteon. Volkswagen is calling this package Travel Assist. It combines a redesigned adaptive cruise control system that goes from 0 to 130 miles an hour, does stop and go traffic, an aggressive lane centering system, and traffic sign recognition so it can automatically adjust the vehicle's speed based on speed limits. Volkswagen has also refined their safety systems, which use basically the same semi-autonomous hardware to give you forward collision warning, autonomous braking, and pedestrian detection. Unfortunately, under the hood, we don't see any changes. So the only engine on offer is the same 2-liter 4-cylinder engine producing 268 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. That's sending power to either the front wheels or to all 4 wheels via a standard 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, if you live in Europe, you can get a variety of different gasoline, diesel, plug-in hybrid, and a new R trim, which should give you 315 horsepower. I really wish the 315 horsepower model was the one that we were getting in the US, because something like a Toyota Avalon or even a Kia Cadenza is going to give you more power than we find in the Arteon. They're also playing in this premium segment where they're not necessarily bigger than the average midsize sedan, but they do have a higher price tag and they have more goodies inside. This also means that some of the competition that Volkswagen commented directly on, like the Kia Stinger or the Infiniti Q50, are going to be faster when paired with their top-end engines. Let's hope that Volkswagen gives in and brings us the R engine to the US at some point. 315 horsepower would be absolutely a perfect pairing, I think, for the Arteon. The rest of the vehicle really looks great. It looks very sporty, but the 0 to 60 performance is going to be a little bit below some of the competition. Volkswagen, of course, calls this a little bit more of a grand touring style vehicle, but they have given it a really attractive sporty interior with these really impressive sport seats that you see in this photo. Of course, all of that red accent lighting in there as well. One last piece of forbidden fruit is the absolutely gorgeous Arteon shooting brake, also known as the Arteon wagon, because shooting brake really is just a fancier way of saying wagon. To address the inevitable comments down there in the comment section below, Volkswagen does call the Arteon shooting brake a wagon, by the way. They say that station wagon sales outnumber sedan sales in the Passat in Germany, and that's the big reason the Arteon got a wagon variant, because in Germany it's probably going to outsell the Arteon sedan. Rather unfortunately, in the US, very few people buy wagons. Buick has given it a try. It didn't really work for them. Volkswagen has tried in the past. It hasn't really worked out for them either. Of course, Volvo, Mercedes, and BMW continually try to throw wagons at the American market, and Americans just don't seem to buy them. The only wagon that sells well in the US is the Outback, and that's because everybody is desperately trying to claim that it's not a wagon, that it's a crossover. It's definitely a wagon in crossover clothing. However, Volkswagen didn't want to do that with the Arteon. They didn't want to lift it up and add body cladding, so we're just not going to get this model. Let me know what you think about all that down there in the comment section, and let me know if you're shopping in this segment, what would you be interested in? I love the way the Arteon looks. I really think the interior is going to be class leading in terms of its quality and its design. I'm really eager to see what it looks like in person. I have to admit being a little bit disappointed, however, in the power level, because something like the Stinger with the turbocharged V6 engine is definitely going to be faster. Same thing goes for the Infiniti Q50. Of course, this is probably going to be swifter than the Stinger with the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine or the Q50 with the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It also is likely going to compare pretty well to most mid-size sedans in America. This is going to be faster than the average Camry out there, but probably not faster than the Camry V6 0 to 60. The Camry V6 is pretty quick, so is the Accord 2-liter turbo. We have preliminary power figures for the upcoming Acura TLX, and I suspect it's going to be a little bit swifter than the Arteon based on what we've seen out of Acura as well. So let me know what you think about all that down there in the comment section below. I think that Volkswagen could very easily remedy that by simply bringing that 315 horsepower R engine to the US, or perhaps swiping an engine from the Audi RS3, jamming it under the hood. That would be even more fun. Let me know what you think about all that down there. And of course, stay tuned for more news and a video on the Arteon just as soon as I can get my hands on it. I'll see all of you later.